Okay. Let me just get all my stuff sorted out. Get the game booted up here. And we will go ahead and do this. France, here we come. Interesting issue there. That was weird. But yeah, there you go. 4 more days. 4 more days left. Yay! Good. Oh my garbage cans are done already. Nope, don't care. This series, yeah, I've not done much. Stay out in first for a total of 50 laps in Grand Prix. Jeez. If I do that, I'll do that off stream. If I do any of those challenges, I might not do them off stream. Because I don't do a lot of Grand Prix racing. As y'all know already.
Carl probably mentioned the new parts that have come in from the factory. Well, they're all fitted and good to go. I hope they do the trick.
We're gonna do this program first. Just because I want to be able to get out and get this lap done quickly.
Okay, this is a quali sim. We've estimated the times our closest rivals will be doing, so that's what we need to beat.
super calm around this track. Now, I will say that when this track first hit the game, I never really enjoyed the track. Like, I never understood why we came here. I get why we do now, but I still don't necessarily like the track. It's a fast track, but it's also a very slow track.
Everyone ready? Okay, let's go.
Now we'll do the acclimatization. The reason why I wanted to get the qualifying pace out of the way was so that way when I go to do all my other programs, the AI won't affect me from here on. So no matter what, the AI will be not an issue. With qualifying pace, it's better to get it out of the way first, because then you can get the lap done, and then go back out. With minimal experience on the track, mind you. But I'm also trying things. I'm gonna be trying things in this race. I'm definitely going to be attempting a one-stop strategy, if I can. Very minimal effort, though, too, by me on this track. It's very much like Canada. Like, I love Canada to death, but it's a really easy track for me to get grips on. Because you'll notice when I do this program, you're gonna see me almost not fuck up anywhere, and it's just because this track is such an easy one for me to hit every apex on.
Zone is coming. Get ready to open it.
When I said that, I wasn't kidding, by the way. Like, this track is like the easiest track for me to hit everything on. Common mistake. That's the one corner where the line and that can catch you out. Had to back out of it there, right there at the end. But again, that's literally pretty much a perfect run.
You'll get a bonus for consistency if you can chain good corners together. I'm one of those guys who's
put it very clearly that I'm not good at the game. I'm not. I will never represent a true, really good player. Because I do use assists. If I was truly good at the game, I would not be using assists. The biggest problem is I can't get comfortable that way. Told you I'd perfect it. Took an extra lap, but
Okay,
I knew I would get it. Oh, let me readjust it just a little bit. Hey Billy, but it's one of those weird things where like I'm running this track again for the third time now. Second time with my wheel, and I've perfected the track twice with my wheel, not once with the controller. So actually, no. This would be the fourth time I've ran the track. Correction. No, it would be the third. No. Once the first year, this is the second year on this save, and I ran it on my other save. Yeah, so this is actually the fourth time I've ran this track. No worries, mate, no worries. I gotta... You know me. Practice first, then the race later. I'm normally running this first practice all the way to completion. I try to, anyway. As people won't understand why I do that, the reason why I do that is because it's good for two reasons. The two reasons are actually durability reasons. Because I could see how much my engine and that stuff that I've put on the car specifically is wearing. In these different fuel mixes and different things that I'll be running, all the different programs that I have to run. Because I don't need the extra experience on the track. I could literally go right into the race. Legitimately. I could literally qualify and go right into the race. At almost every F1 track. Yeah, the third sector on controller is a bitch. Like, it's so flawless on a wheel, but like, with the controller, it's just evil. Like, and it's just because the controller sensitivity. Like, you have to hit that, you have to actually be turning about a split second before every corner in the third sector in order for it to work. So is this section. This section's a pain on controller too. The first and third sectors are kind of the toughest bits with the controller. The middle sector is kind of the easiest. With almost everything.
just want to remind you to keep an eye on your tire temperatures, which you can do on the
Shut up. I'm literally going to do that. Every time he says something about pit stops and that stuff and this thing and that thing, I'm gonna literally just start pausing the game and stopping them from saying them because they're so repetitive. I don't get why they're repetitive. This is my second year of the sport. I should not be getting those same lines over and over again. It's not how you're supposed to enter the pit road here, but... and a tip for that corner, if you want to hit the actual entrance of pit road correctly, let off the throttle, or run the corner wide. Run it like you're late apexing the turn. Yeah, I could say that. I don't crash here. I don't do a lot of crashing and that stuff because, like, for me, that's not fun. I'm a weird one. And, again, if you follow me on my Discord, I posted a message late last night, that basically went on to say how the games that I thought I loved are the games I hate. And the games that you would think I would hate, like this one because it is so boring, just hear me out, are the games I love. Empyrion, this game, between the two of them, over the last month, I've probably put, between the two of them, 800 hours on them. Well, a few hundred hours on each of them.
Okay, let's talk about this track. Late apexes are the name of the game here. We have a bunch of deceptive corners that lead straight into the turn-in point for the next one.
Yep.
And pretty much...
Yeah. There is a lot of late apexing here, which is why it's such a fucking... everybody thinks that means that it's an easier track because you could screw up the apex. No, it makes the track 1,000 times harder because if you miss the apex, or you miss that specific turn point, you will miss the apex every fucking time. And every apex you miss, you lose a second, roughly a tenth of a second on your lap. It is literally that much of a gap you lose. You have to learn how to perfect each corner. And I've learned how to do it. It took me a while, because when I came off of 2014 into 16 and steer assist was gone, like, it took me a while to relearn these tracks. A long time. But then you had 18 and Azerbaijan come into play, and then you had this track come into play. And these tracks are tracks that I'm still learning. Now you have Vietnam and Dutch, and I'm still learning those tracks. As a matter of fact, even when I'm running this track, I'm still learning. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, I can understand why you do the wrecking and that stuff. But see, right there, there's a late apex corner. And like, I'm not even noticing the apexes anymore, I'm just kind of turning where the line is. Sort of. But it's all about, the thing is why this track is difficult with controller, is because with controller you don't have this, the analog sticks don't have a big enough turning circle. Basically, what I'm saying is that the analog sticks are not big enough. So you don't have enough precision control to be able to then have a sensitivity that would actually be able to be beneficial to you. So that's why, again, this is where this game is a sim and not an arcade racer. You can make it an arcade racer, which is what I do when I'm playing with controller. That's why I play on the easiest difficulty with controller. My team save. Because when I'm playing with controller, I make the game an arcade game. When I'm playing with my wheel, I make it a simulator, thus the higher difficulty. Even though I'm still dominating the shit almost every race, that's just a personal preference thing.
Okay, super job so far. You have great data. Stay focused.
Yep, no worries, mate. I'll be here for a while. So I'm doing softs on this program, so I have the data for the race, and then I'll do the mediums per usual after I run all the other programs accordingly. Meaning tire wear, fuel management, and that all on that same set of mediums before I run race strategy on the same set of mediums. The reason why I'm doing worn tires instead of brand new tires is because the data will give me the better drop off. That's why I did the worn set for this program, for this set, was because you get a better drop off value of knowing when the tires will actually fall away. I noticed it when I was in Canada, when I was looking at the strategies, even though we got rain. When I was looking at the strategies and everything else, my timings on the drop-offs for my softs were really late in their stints. Which was really good, because it meant I was managing the tires properly. I spent a lot of time practicing and doing a lot of things with this. A lot of things that I've done in the past and always found, you know, it's not my thing, but with this game it's been different. You know, and I'm hoping for that, and that's the biggest reason why I keep playing it too, is now that the F1 schedule is now set in stone for this year, I'm hoping and praying that we get those tracks that we're going to be racing at this year for this game. Just because of the fact of, you know, realism. This game's always been very good about that. I still want them to keep everything that currently exists in the game, because I want the game to represent what the 2020 season was going to be. But I also want them to represent what the 2020 year did become. So that's why I want the option for your season, for what you're picking your season like, for this year's schedule to be an option. One more lap. So I'm hoping, you know, that Codemasters is listening to the community on that front. I'm hoping. You know, I trust them a lot. They've given me, they're the first company that I will say that they're the only racing game that I actually enjoy playing, because they're the only racing game that actually tries to be an actual racing game. You know, I want the grid, the newest grid that's out there. I want the Dirt 5 when it comes out, which is planned for October. I want it, but I don't want it, you know, when it launches and that stuff, because they're not games that I'll find interest in right away. They're kind of the games that I find interest in at a moment's notice, and I try them then, or I want them then. But like, this game is a game that I find interest in almost immediately because I love F1 so much. And it's genuinely the F1 just by itself. It's not, you know, this or that or this or that. It's genuinely just F1. FIA, them, you know, yeah, the stewards may make a call that I don't agree with. But that's my own personal grievance. That's my own personal grievance. Yeah, look at that. You can see though that the lap time was absolutely everywhere.
Fastest lap is a 1 minute 29.7.
Alright, let's go ahead and do this.
This test is all about tyre management.
Yeah, shut up. I know what the test is. You don't need to tell me. Try to control the slip and be especially careful accelerating on corner exit. There you go. There's the short version of the whole program.
Didn't catch that. Say again.
Didn't say anything. Hit the wrong button. The dog upstairs got a ball out. At least. Yeah, look at that perfectly clean lap, too.
Okay, test complete, and that was a very good job indeed. We got a lot of valuable information out of that.
We'll drive on back, too. So, gearbox at 53%. OCZ is at 48. Again, this is the practice engine, so I'm not worried about it right now. The second and third are for the race. The first one is for the practice. And I'm determined to keep it that way for as long as humanly possible. Oh yeah, look at that. 44 laps. Yep, definitely one-stop strat. Definitely one-stop.
Quick note about tyres. Just bear in mind we have to return the 2 most worn sets at the end of this session. They're gone forever at that point, so be careful how and when...
Actually, they're not. They are gone for the duration of practice and qualifying. They are not gone completely.
Testing fuel management.
The way I found this out is from Mercedes talking about what happened with Lewis and Bottas at the end of Silverstone, the first Silverstone. What I gathered was the only sets of tires that they had left were worn or dead set of tires. Dead sets of medium. So it would have been a waste of time for them to come in and pit and throw those tires on. The two-stop strategy for them went out the window almost immediately. They had no choice, from what I gathered. They had tires available, but they could not use them because they were, you know, like Lewis had a set of mediums he could have used, but he spun on them in qualifying, which means they were flat-spotted in spots, which means they're no good. Now, granted, the game does not represent flat spotting or blistering correctly. I really wish it did. I'm just gonna keep coasting here. Pro tip for that corner, by the way. It's just coasted around that corner. And there's fuel management done. And again, we'll drive back around.
Job well done. We got some excellent data with that run, so come on back.
So that way the tires that I used this lap for are the same length of wear that the other set is. Hopefully. Now the hope is what I'll be able to do is be able to then, after I'm done with this, these last 2 runs of programs that I gotta do, I'll be able to throw the 1 set of softs on that I still have available, and throw those on and basically burn the 2 sets of softs in one go for 1 session. I don't know which way's faster. Is it faster to actually pull down pit road, or is it faster to cut to the garage? I think it's faster to actually drive back. Just like I think it's actually faster to drive out. But I don't know.
In this program, we're looking at ERS management. This is all about managing your battery efficiently throughout the lap to hit your target time. The overtake button will drain the battery quickly, but it will also give you maximum power.
Thank you, Latifi. Wait for it. Down this back stretch, I don't care that if it goes into the right here. Because I knew I could still salvage it.
Okay, test complete, and that was a very good job indeed. We got a lot of valuable information out of that.
Oof. Sorry, just having to adjust my headphones. But yeah, it's just when I'm doing all my programs and stuff like this, it's all about me just hitting my spots every lap almost. And making sure that you hit those spots every lap.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
That's the other way you can do that corner. Where you actually do it normally and then you freaking pull out into the last second. The thing they fuck up here though too, just saying, they actually wrap the tire blankets around the car here. In this phase here. That's the only thing they fuck up here. Along with the blowers there. For the cooling of the brakes. That's why they do that. We're gonna use the second, and no, we'll use the first set. Fuck it.
Our best lap so far is a
Alright, last program that we gotta run. And then the rest of the practice I'm gonna run on softs. Actually, no, we'll run the rest of the practice on hards. Because the 2 sets, I'm hoping by the end of this program, this set will be more worn than the other. So that way, the first set of mediums in this will be the ones that are the most worn by the end of the session, which are the ones that he actually recommends for the practice, for the first practice session. .54% on that gearbox. Not bad.
Great lab. You've done what we asked for. Keep it up.
This is, what, the 10th race that it ran on it? Yeah, because the 11th race is Austria. 10th practice session that I ran with this one gearbox. So that's really not that bad. Although I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck it's less worn than my my event one that I ran for 8 races. How this gearbox is still worn less. Still trying to figure that out. Because I've been way more aggressive on this gearbox than I was that one.
Okay, super job so far. We're getting great data. Stay focused.
The reason why I turned the DRS assist off, by the way, is because when you're in this race strategy one, you want to almost run it like you're in the race, which means that DRS would not be active all the time. You won't have access to it like that, but you will have access to ERS, which is why I'm gonna try to run at least these last 3 laps with DRS down this back straightaway every lap. Because that's what I'm planning to do with it in the race.
Okay, super job so far. We're getting great data. Stay focused.
Final lap on this program. And the other reason is too is you want consistent data. You don't want to, you know, be pushing the car full out every lap that you're on the track. Truthfully, you want consistency. Because consistency is how you maintain pace. It's actually, it's funny how you have to think about racing in the games in order to do well.
Program complete and a job well done. We got some excellent data with that run, so come on back to the garage and I can talk you through the numbers.
If it's a minute and a half lap time, it means that I need about 15 laps of fuel. That's about how many laps I would get.
We have 2 laps of fuel remaining.
But I'm gonna actually run it. I'm actually gonna do 30 laps of fuel on the car, and then run in the highest fuel mix and try to wear this engine as much as possible, and just push this engine and see how much wear will occur over that 15 lap stint. Or 10 lap stint, or whatever I get out of it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, turn those 2 assists on.
If you want to know specific information or make certain changes to the car during a pit stop, you can tell me what you want over the radio. Press and hold the radio button to activate the system, and you can either speak the command or select it manually from the radio screen that will appear on the multifunction display. While the radio is active, cycle through command groups with the MFD button. All clear the garage, please. Car ready to leave.
That's weird. Okay, that is weird. Why was it showing 17 on pit road? That's weird. So yeah, for the rest of this session now, we're going to be on these hards and we're going to be out here running. Now you will occasionally see me unintentionally try to avoid hitting the red and right curbs. The reason for doing that is because the CE on the engine wear there only wears by hitting that. But when that gets too worn, that wears everything across the entire engine, because that's all the sensors and all the other things. That's what you were hearing Mercedes talk about in the first Austrian Grand Prix. When they were at Austria, why they were telling Lewis and Bottas to get off the curbs was because they had a sensor issue. Which means the engine was going to wear in a way that they couldn't actually read. It wasn't an issue, a major issue, but it could have became one. And when you have 1,000 sensors on a car, per se, any one of those sensors could go bad at any given time.
That last lap was a 1:33.
That's why I say it's not a big issue. What they were probably having was they were just having one of the sensors that was failing, giving them bad data output. So they were, you know, going into engine protect mode just in case it was one of the more critical sensors, which in that case it was a gearbox critical sensor. So it takes too many more hits and the gearbox would have taken the hit. which leads to grid penalties later in the year and things like that. Potential grid penalties, anyway. No, I will say, you know, when I'm watching an F1 race and you hear this comment come across from an engineer, Strat 26, it's like, what the hell is that? The game doesn't get the fuel mixing that real life gets. Pure reason why is because teams are very stingent on how that's done. So they're not willing to give that information to, like, Codemasters and that stuff of, you know, what each one of these different things are. So we get the generic version of the fuel mixing. The generic version. When you see the qualifying mix of max, that's the mode that they're talking about getting rid of. FIA is talking about getting rid of. And I would not have an issue with it. I'm not going to be the one who complains, though, either. To FIA and that stuff, or FIA about, you know, what they decide to do. I'm quite content with whatever they decide to do. Because F1's actually a sport that I actually enjoy watching. It's a sport that I actually enjoy watching as a fan. Even during this pandemic, I've enjoyed watching it. Because it's the commentators' personalities that's really showing during this time. I've seen enthusiasm from this year that I've never seen from them in the last 2 years of watching F1 fully. And the biggest thing is, too, well, yes, some people will say it was a political stance that FIA took with the, you know, we races won and end racism thing. It's not a political stance. It's showing unity. That the drivers are united as one to end racism. Has nothing to do with frickin' Lewis at all. Lewis is just part of it. But it wasn't Lewis's idea. From what I've been told, it was not Lewis's idea. Lewis's idea was his helmet and the black Mercedes-Benz. Those were his ideas. What FIA has done is completely was not what he was expecting. But he is very glad to see that every one of his fellow drivers backs his stance. That we all need to end it. That, you know, in order to end racism, we have to stand united to end it. That's the message. 33.9. Because I'm not racist, to be fair. A lot of my high school friends were actually black. A lot of them. Good people, too. Good people. Really good people. Really good friends. I never saw the color of skin as an issue. Never. And I never will. But I guess that just comes from good being raised right. treat people with respect, listen to authority. You know, I've been in the vehicle with, different interactions with cops and everything else, and all you gotta do is show the same level of respect to them, and they'll show it right back to you. I know that there's some bad cops out there. Like I said, just show them the same level of respect. Stay calm and fight in court. Don't fight while you're on the traffic stop. That's why the whole Portland thing that just happened has really gotten on my nerves. I don't like talking about the political minefield that we have right now. But right now I feel really comfortable to just say it in clear form of, if the guy would have just complied with police, he'd be alive. Just saying. But again, I'm gonna try to get off of that whole stringent thing. Right now what I'm focusing on is my lap times here, which I've noted every lap so far down that back stretch, I've set a faster speed trap time every single lap. But again, I don't like to get into the politics of all this stuff going on in the world today, because it's just, a lot of it is a lot of bullshit. I mean, my closest real world friend is black, and I've even told him, I understand the whole end racism thing. I understand that. But the rest of it, I just don't get it. And he looked at me and said he doesn't get it either. And it's like, that just sums it up. Remember what I said about running ERS only on the back stretch? If you want to get it consistently through a lap and through this sector,